The 2019-2020 NBA season was by far the longest and most difficult in league history because of the coronavirus. Still, the league and players' union found a way to create a unique environment that produced one of the most unpredictable postseasons in recent history as the Lakers eventually made their way to a championship. But now that we're closer to the start of a new season, it's time to think about those who were unable to add even more excitement to the bubble playoffs. Teams like the Golden State Warriors will make their return to the Western Conference, making a more difficult challenge for the defending champions. However, when it comes to individuals, there's a player that may be able to take over a new conference on his own. Kevin Durant, who missed all of last season, will finally make his debut with the Brooklyn Nets to try to reclaim his spot as one of the top three players in the league, while also looking to make a championship run and solidify his status as an NBA legend. Welcome to Courtside. Today we'll talk about how a healthy KD might be able to change things up in the league, and especially in the Eastern Conference. A little over a year ago, the worst-kept secret in the NBA was that Durant wanted to leave the Golden State Warriors and was interested in playing in New York. When the summer came around, he confirmed those rumors by signing a new contract with the Brooklyn Nets, along with star point guard Kyrie Irving. The move immediately changed the timeline of the Nets, who had been rebuilding for the last few seasons and were coming off their first playoff appearance since 2015. During that time, Brooklyn had slowly but steadily been acquiring and developing players that had been overlooked by the rest of the league, while also renewing its coaching staff and front office to develop a winning culture. As we know by now, the changes allowed the Nets to become appealing to superstar players. However, while the acquisition of Irving and Durant meant they would have one of the most talented rosters in the league, they wouldn't be able to immediately show it on the court. During the 2019 playoffs, KD suffered two injuries in the middle of the latest run of the Warriors. First, he injured his right calf, which forced him to miss 9 games. Then, after making his return in Game 5 of the finals, he suffered an Achilles tendon injury a few minutes into the game, meaning he would miss all of next season. That way, he, along with players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and Kyrie, became part of a group of stars that missed most or all of the 2019-2020 season and who could have made the bubble playoffs finish differently. But now, he seems to have made a full recovery, and with him recently organizing off-season workouts, and with Gilbert Arenas and John Wall talking about how good he looked on the court, the Nets could be about to enjoy one of the best seasons in their team's history. So let's take a look at the reasons why the star forward could be a game-changer for Brooklyn in the coming season. Since making his pro debut in 2007, Durant has made use of his unique combination of size and skill set to score over all kinds of defenses throughout the years. In his rookie season, he joined LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony as the teenagers who had averaged at least 20 points per game until that point. Then a couple of years later, he became the youngest player to lead the league in scoring. As years went by, KD accumulated 4 scoring titles and an MVP trophy while also turning his former team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, into a championship contender. His immense talent and the way he led his team to championship contention made him one of the most popular players at the time. However, things drastically changed for him following the 2016 playoffs. After losing a 3-1 series against the Warriors in the conference finals, Durant decided to join them as a free agent to improve his chances of winning a championship. The move, of course, made most people either disappointed or angry, given that Golden State had already won a championship, was coming off a season in which it won 73 games, and had a roster full of star talent, making it look like he was taking the easy way to a title. Still, the move produced exactly what he'd been looking for: 3 finals appearances, 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, all to his name. And while it's clear the Warriors had arguably one of the most talented rosters in league history, the truth is, they weren't unbeatable. After winning it all almost effortlessly in 2017, the team started to face improved competition in the playoffs in the following years. In 2018, they fell behind 3-2 in the conference finals against Houston before Chris Paul went down because of an injury. Then, in the 2019 finals, they were losing against the Raptors 3-1 before Durant's brief appearance in Game 5. In other words, while the Warriors were certainly more talented than most other NBA teams, their system was far from perfect. And hadn't he performed the way he did, the team may not have been able to win as much as it did. So, while it's understandable that people in the media may have felt upset about his decision to play in Golden State, he was clearly the best player during his time there and the main reason why they went from having long series against the Cavaliers to defeating them in 4 or 5 games. And if he's able to play as good as he did with the Warriors, the Nets should be in a position to make a deep playoff run next season. However, it may all come down to whether he and Kyrie are fully healthy or not. An Achilles injury has already harmed the production of star players in the past, and considering KD has dealt with a few other concerning injuries in the past, it's fair to wonder whether he'll come back as his old self or if he'll be limited from now on. But according to specialists, there shouldn't be a reason why the forward isn't able to regain his original form. As they've mentioned, Durant was 30 when he hurt his Achilles, which is a few years younger than when players like Kobe Bryant, Isaiah Thomas, or Patrick Ewing suffered the same injury. That should help him recover better than all of those legends. And while he may look out of rhythm at first, that'll be a normal reaction from having spent over a year without playing pro basketball. Still, even if he didn't make a full recovery, he should remain as one of the best players in the league. Many people have commented on how Durant at 80% would resemble Dirk Nowitzki, and since his size will remain with him despite the injury, as well as his shooting mechanics, there's no reason to believe he won't be better than most players, even if not fully healthy. With that in consideration, let's now take a look at what his return should mean for the rest of the league. Now, since the Nets are already a playoff team, adding Durant to the roster should be enough to finish with a much better record in the regular season, considering Irving will also make his return and that the coaching staff has been revamped with some of the brightest minds in the game. A top 3 finish in the Eastern Conference should be in play. When it comes to the playoffs, Brooklyn could have a chance to emerge as a favorite to become the conference champion if it's able to find the right balance between its players. After all, there's no clear favorite in the East at the moment. Toronto and Milwaukee look like they're a piece away from being championship contenders. Indiana lacks enough star power to take over the rest of the teams. Boston and Philadelphia have enough talent, but it'll need to figure things out to present a real challenge. And Miami may be the most complete team in the East, but they could be a star away from defeating the Nets in a playoff series. Then, in the Western Conference, it doesn't look like there are too many teams outside of the Lakers that could compete with the duo of Kyrie and KD, and those who could be talented enough may still be a few years away from reaching their peak. Of course, all this could change with a few trades, and since the offseason is only a few weeks away from now, there's a chance multiple teams will try to upgrade their rosters to make things more interesting come playoff time. And even with a healthy Durant, things could go wrong for the Nets if the pieces around him and Irving are not a good fit. So that's something Steve Nash and Sean Marks will have to keep in mind. But there are enough reasons to believe that won't be the case, from Nash's longtime relationship with KD to the way the front office has built the roster and is still looking to make improvements via trade. Fans in Brooklyn should be optimistic about the future. And last but not least, there are also reasons to believe the star forward will be more motivated than ever to win a championship. Aside from the usual criticism he gets for his decisions as a free agent or the way he handles himself on social media, 2 things should make Durant hungry for another ring. The first one is the fact that he could reasonably have completed a three-peat if it wasn't for the multiple injuries he suffered in the 2019 playoffs. And since those injuries took him away from the game for more than a year, it's safe to say he'll come back ready to contend for another championship. And then there's the LeBron factor, as Durant has revealed in the past. James is the only player who he sees as a rival, and he used to be frustrated with people always calling him the second best player behind LeBron. He expected the world would start recognizing him as the best player after defeating the King with the Warriors, but that wasn't the case. And now, James has reclaimed the throne for himself, so it will be up to KD to beat him with a new team to try to finally earn that status as the best basketball player in the world. To sum up, last season was one where we didn't get the chance to see what Durant would be able to do as the leader of an inexperienced team and as the face of an organization that plays in a large market. And while that could have taken some excitement out of last season's playoffs, it may have also made the star forward more motivated than ever to win another championship. But with KD ready to start the next chapter of his career, a new and exciting era could be about to begin for Brooklyn. But now, do you think the Nets will turn into immediate championship contenders with Durant? And if they do, who do you believe might be able to beat them in a 7-game series? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.